Saludos everybody, welcome back to Decent Shirt, where we play cards while we wear decent shirts. And for today's video, we're inside the jungle and the Anteaters came into play. That's right, today I have my deck profile for the newest version of Antitan. With the newest release of Firestorm getting closer and closer every single day, the cards of Firestorm might just be the ones that crack the formula and make Antitan meta. Only one way to find out. Let's head on to the video. Alrighty, so let's start off with our deck profile. So real quick, before I do get into all the details about this deck, I will be doing this deck profile different to other deck profiles that I've done in the past, where instead of going through all the Elestrals and all the runes and everything like that, I am actually going to go through 3 separate cores, because this deck is really like a toolbox that has a lot of different cores that synergize with each other really well. And I think that the best way for someone to realize the true potential of this deck and how everything works is by going through the different cores. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so let's start off with the Postal Child Antitan. Antitan is a card that had a lot of hype when Moonrise was announced, but even though it does have it had some really nice tops, overall it's a deck that felt kind of niche, because you really relied on your opponent to really be able to cast out the Antitan through its main ascension effects. However, through Firestorm we're going to see that this is no longer the case, and you are gonna be able to consistently get out Antitan in one single turn, heck, even in your first turn if you so desire. So, having said that, let's just get on to it. We do have our first core, which is none other than the Antitan with the triple Arbud and Arverum. So if you're not familiar with Arbud, when it receives an Earth Spirit, you can search for any Insectoid. That's going to be very important for this deck, as well as Arverum, which is also allows you to search for an Insectoid on cast. The important thing here is that Arbud is able to disenchant a spirit from any Insectoid card, and if you do, you're able to then ascend into Arverum, and Arverum says that you can destroy any Insectoid card, and if you do, you can ascend into Antitan. And this is the whole wombo combo. You want to get out Antitan in one single turn, and we're going to see how we're going to be able to do that in this deck. So this is a pretty short core, still very effective. I'm going to put these to the side. Now, we're going to talk about the more exciting core before we go into the more standard core. So, one of the things that I think pushes Antitan to the brink in this deck is actually the new cards of Hermes. Hermes, if you don't know, allows you to basically send any wind Elestral from your deck to the underworld by disenchanting 2. And you might think, how does that work with this deck? Well, the thing is that a lot of the new Hermes cards are all Insectoids, and you're going to see that those cards are going to synergize really well with being able to get these effects out. Now, the first one that we should mention is Carrion, Champion of Hermes. Carrion, Champion of Hermes is a really solid card. Basically, it says that when it is sent to the underworld with the Hermes effect, you are able to special cast it from your underworld into the field using one of the wind spirits in your underworld. So it's basically a free cast, it is a special cast, and it's searchable through Hermes. That's really strong because it adds us another version or another Insectoid to be able to then use Arbud's effect or Arverum's effect. So that's really solid. We do also have one carry-off Champion of Hermes, and the reason for this is basically because it's a searchable searchable Earthquake. While Earthquake is a lot less expensive than a carry-off, sometimes you just need to out an opponent's card, and carry-off is as good as any to basically deal with it. And in worst case scenario, it is an Insectoid, so if you ever draw into it and you're able to cast out your Antitan, it's a card that you can just ditch and basically destroy a card. Or you can just ascend over your carry-on to a carry-off, and you still have an 8 attack body on board. Moving on, we do have a part of the Hermes core, 3 Cockadoodle Champion of Hermes and 2 Dracodoodle Champion of Hermes. And you might be thinking, why are we playing these cards? These cards are not insectoid. What's the purpose of this? Alright, so we're going to discuss in the insectoid part of the video why Cockadoodle is so good, but by itself, Hermes allows you to set up Dracodoodle quite easily. If you don't know what these cards do, basically, if Dracodoodle is in the underworld, when a Cockadoodle is sent to the underworld, either from the deck or from the field, you're able to special cast Dracodoodle from the underworld. So that's really good. Cockadoodle, however, when Cockadoodle Champion of Hermes is sent to the underworld, you are able to then target a card and suppress it. So with Hermes and Cockadoodle, you basically have a searchable suppression card. So really solid again, and it's going to be very important for this combo. The last 3 cards that I think should be mentioned for the Hermes package is Spy Nymph. Spy Nymph is quite simple. It is the searcher of Hermes. When it is cast, it is allowed to then search for Hermes and add it to the hand. It does have a second effect that allows it to go into Ascension, but it's not really important for this deck. The important thing here is that it is a searcher for Hermes. It is an Earth card, so it has synergy with all the Antitan engine. And also, it is an insectoid, which means that if you draw multiple cards of it, you don't have a breaking hand. You can just use it to discard it and then destroy cards on the field with Antitan. So, this is the second core. Now, moving on to the insectoid package. We have arguably the most important newest card for this deck. It is the Specteris Champion of Artemis. Now, this card is insane for this deck and for many lunar decks to come, I'm sure. It has 4 attack, 2 defense. That's not the important part here though. It's the fact that if your opponent has any suppressed card, just one suppressed card, you're able to special cast Specteris from your hand, just like that. Just having one suppressed card. And that is very important in this deck for the following reason. If you remember, you have the Cockadoodle effect, which allows you to essentially suppress a card when it is sent to the underworld, which means that Hermes can turn into a suppression card that then enables the Champion of Artemis Specters. And as we're going to see later on in the video, which I'm going to show you the combos for this deck, you're going to see that this basically enables the deck to go full combo into Antitan in one turn, in theory, right? So we do also have 2 Tox series with the corresponding 2 Dense Fogs, and you might be thinking, why am I playing that? Well, for one, it is another insectoid as well as Specteris, and second thing, it basically gives you another starter if you do not start with the Spy Nymph or the Arpod. The third reason is because it gives you the Dense Fog, which allows you to get another way of getting out your Specteris into play. As well as it enables Dracodoodle, because if you didn't know, Dracodoodle gets +2 attack for every suppressed card on the field, which means that Dense Fog can then enable that if you're able to do it before you cast out the Dracodoodle, or if you're able to get a Lunar Spirit on the Dracodoodle. Now, we do also have 2 Spectres because it's just too good of a card. It's a great card in general, and it's an insectoid, so if you don't get your Antitan or Hermes build on, the Specteris is probably going to allow you to buy yourself some time and be still aggressive while you get into your combo pieces. And in the same vein, we also have 2 Viserys, which again, it's so that you can still be competitive even if you don't draw into your pieces for the combos. Now, normally this deck is very, very consistent due to the fact that this deck synergizes all very well with each other. First of all, these elements in general are very well placed, right? We have a very solid lunar package here that synergizes with the Antitan, but we also have Earths. Even within the Hermes package, we have Earth. And while the wind package is one of the most important for the deck to work, it is not necessarily vital for these cards to work together. So overall, you can play it slow, you can play it fast, but at the end of the day, all the deck feels like it synergizes very well with each other. Now, to finish the deck profile, we do have 3 Ambrosia. This is a very aggro list, so you're going to be using a lot of your spirits very quickly. However, you're going to see that more often than not, the pressure that you're going to put on your opponent is going to be worth it. And they're going to need very specific cards to be able to out your combos successfully and early enough. So 3 Ambros are very important, and to add to the reason why this deck is very expensive, we're going to add 1 Divine Healing. I did used to play 2. I decided to add another removal card just so you're able to have another response card. But Divine Healing is really good for Hermes because you're able to return those Hermes cards or those Wind Spirits back to the Hermes, so you can continue using them, for example, for Dracadoodle or for Hermes or for Carry Off. Like, there's so many instances in which Divine Healing comes in very clutch, and while it's still one of that you can't really search, it comes in very good. Now, if you would like to change it, then that's all the power to you. I still feel like this card has come in very clutch in a lot of games. I do play 1 Resting and 1 Earthquake. Again, a lot of removal with this deck. You're going to see when it comes into action that it has a lot of different things that your opponent has to react to. While it is a combo deck, it has so many different lines of combos and synergies that overall you are going to see that, if you haven't already noticed, that I'm not playing a lot of counter runes. I'm only playing arguably the best card in the game, Gorgon's Gaze, because Gorgon's Gaze basically is the most versatile counter rune in the game and the one that stops the most things. Therefore, I'm playing 3 of those, but no other counter runes. You could try to add more counter runes, but I feel like this list is pure gas. You're always gonna have something to answer to your opponent. Like, you're still, even if it's just a normal cast, your normal casts are relatively very good since you have searchers, you have casts in play, and you have different lines into your combo plays. So overall, this is the deck profile. I'm going to show you now the spirits. Alrighty, and for the spirits, you're going to see that it's very balanced. We do play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 Wind Spirits. Why do we play so many Wind Spirits? Well, basically Hermes is a very expensive package. Dracadoodle is also very expensive because you do have to waste 2 spirits on your Cockadoodle and your Dracadoodle, so that's technically 4, to then cast the Dracadoodle, which would then be another 2. So it's a very expensive package that it's still very worth it, but alas, we do need the majority of our spirits to go into our wind package. But we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 Earth Spirits. 6 is the perfect number. We do also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Lunar. Again, perfect numbers. So basically, we have the 5 Lunars, 6 Earth, and the rest, which are 9 Wind Spirits. No Water Spirits, because we're not playing any Tsunamis, and no Thunder Spirits. We're not playing Zeus, we're not playing Astrabbit. This deck feels pure gas, and it does not spare any sort of space for any other kind of element or strategy, because it already has so much synergy, it has so many ways to answer, that it's just best to go full throttle with this list. So I've been hyping up this combos, and it's for good reason, but let me just go over it. It's a 2-card combo. Technically, more often than not, you're gonna want to go for Hermes before you go for the Arbot to set up certain things, but at least in terms of the main combo, what you're going to want to go for is the following. You're going to cast Arbud, which is going to then allow you to search for a Champion of Artemis Spectress to hand, which you're going to have here. And then you're going to cast your Hermes, which is going to allow you to send a Cockadoodle to the Underworld, which will then allow you to suppress a card in your opponent's field. which will then enable your Spectres to be then special cast to the field because they have one suppressed card on the field. This will then allow you to use the Arbot effect to disenchant from the Spectres to then ascend into none other than Arverum. And since Arverum is cast to the field, it also allows you to search for an Insectoid, which will then again allow you to search for none other than our second champion of Artemis, Spectres, which will then be able to be special cast to the field still because your opponent still has the suppressed card. And then Arverum can use this effect to destroy the said Spectres to the underworld, right? To then ascend into the Big Daddy himself, Antitan. And basically, this is the combo, right? A 2-card combo. Arbot and Hermes. So some final comments that I'm envisioning a lot of people are going to ask. So, we do have a very powerful card that I'm not playing in this list, which is the Navi Doppelganger package. And you might be asking why I chose not to play it. Honestly, because I just didn't want to have more bricks, because I felt like I already had enough to basically Ascension cards in the deck with the Antitan, Arverum, and the Carry-Off, that I felt like it really wouldn't be the greatest, but it still has a lot of great synergy. If we were to play this Navi Doppelganger package, you probably have to forfeit something like the Spectres Viserys package, which is completely viable. And basically, this would still have a lot of really cool ways of triggering, since you wouldn't necessarily have to ascend into Doppelganger directly from the Navi. You would also have stuff like the Champion of Artemis Spectres, which you can then ascend into Doppelganger in the same turn if you're able to suppress the card. So those are definitely lines that you can consider and are equally viable. I just basically prefer the Viserys and the Spectres because they're just solid cards that work by themselves if I need to basically wait for a turn or two. And another card that I think is very important that we should consider is none other than the newest Stadium Arachnis Lair. Why do I say this? Well, here's the thing. This is a card that is quite particular. Arachnis Lair, some of you might have not noticed, is an Insectoid card. Let's see if I can focus. There we go. It's an Insectoid card. Why is that important? Well, Arbot specifies that you have to disenchant a spirit from an Insectoid card, not an Insectoid Elestral. So if you wanted, you could run like a fire package with Warmight and all these shits to enable Arachnis Lair to have a draw engine that could also serve as another way to trigger the Arbot without having to depend on something like a Spectres. And this would just enable the combo. You could just go Arachnis Lair, Arbot, search for Champion of Artemis Spectres, disenchant this, ascend into the Arverum, and you know the rest. So overall, I think that there are a lot of different lines that you could explore with this deck. This deck is definitely very toolboxy, and I think that the biggest thing that it has going for it is that it's pure gas. You just have so many different things that you can do in this list, and it's basically up to the creativity of the user of the deck. Like, some people are going to favor more the Hermes package, some people are going to favor more the Insectoid package, some are going to focus more on Lunar. But at the end of the day, this deck basically makes it so Antitan is now here to stay thanks to cards like Spectres and even Hermes to a certain extent. So I want to hear your comments in the comment section. What do you guys think? Do you guys like the list? Do you not like the list? What are the weaknesses that you're seeing? What are the strengths? All of that, write it in the comment section. I want to hear your thoughts. I know that this one actually stirred up a couple of comments and a lot of people were excited to see the list, so I'm happy to oblige and show it to you guys, but I want to see that reaction. I want to see that engagement. So having said that, that will be all from me. Decent Shirt, sign it out.